Hello and welcome back to the DropOutDragon. Today we're going to be taking a look at the Profaned Greatsword. Now this is one of my favorite greatswords in the game. I think it looks great, I love the moveset, and let's talk a little bit about that. So there's the R1s right there, and here are the R2s. These are the one-handed. And we're going to return to the R2s just a second because there's a special little added bonus to them. If you charge them up like so, you get a temporary little buff there, which adds 50 fire damage. 50 fire damage. The weapon itself does purely physical, but when you do these little buffs, these charge buffs, they give you 50 extra AR, and it's fire. So it is split damage, but it's added on there already to its massive physical damage, which is great. The sword art allows you to give it a nice longer lasting buff, like a full buff. However, that is not 50 extra fire damage. That is actually 80 extra fire damage. And it also stacks with the R2. So even as it is buffed, it buffs itself again with the temporary buff and does another added 50 AR. You can test this by looking at your inventory very quickly, and you can see right there the right weapon, which is now at 590, top right corner. If you do a slow enough attack, you can see it change, and it's going to jump up to 640. See right there. You got to look real close, but it jumps up to 640. I didn't charge it enough for that. Yeah, you saw it. It's real quick. However, with the buff, you're getting a little bit more than that. So let's go ahead and two-hand the moveset, see what that's all about. Here are the unparryable R1s. Remember that, unparryable. You cannot parry those. Okay, and here are the R2s. Charge that up, get that little buff in there. So that's nice. Sword art wise, very, very normal for the great swords. Very normal. Give you that little buff. I don't use the buff all that often. I feel it's very situational. It doesn't last a whole, long time. So you kind of get it in there. So how do you use this weapon? How do you understand this weapon? Well, ultras have hyper armor, and hyper armor in this game is very powerful if you time yourself right. I feel like a lot of people have immediately jumped onto fast weapons and said, "Oh my God, look how good they are. The fast weapons are so good," and I don't think people realize that something with hyper armor, if you time your attacks correctly, you're gonna hit them for about 800 damage, and they're only gonna hit you for about 250, 300 maybe, even if they have like a dark sword or something like that. So a lot of the spammy weapons that people really rely on to get in your face, they're just really interrupted by a weapon like this if you do it right. It also has this big thrusting R2, which is great for spacing. So if somebody really screws up like a running attack, you can just pop and bam, right there, do 500 damage, because it is serious. It does a lot of damage. Alright, so let's see what we got here. This weapon, I would say, is probably, if we were talking like, oh, what's top tier for the big weapons, what's the great swords and all that, I would say this one is among the top, and I really do enjoy it. It's, out of all of them, it's one of my favorites, so hopefully I'll be able to use it in a way that's not making me look retarded. Gotta look out for him. He's trying to catch me in rolls, which is a good decision on his part. Not sure if I'll let him. He's doing back steps, which I wouldn't recommend. He's also using the Profaned, which is kind of an interesting matchup at the beginning. I think ultras have like the hardest time dealing with each other than everything else. But we got to get in his face and kind of space him out. You play strength weapons very defensively. Remember that. It's a very defensive kind of thing. Oh, and we'll just smack him right there. The running attacks on these, I'm not a huge fan of with the ultras. I mean, they exist. I think they're kind of easy to bait people out with, but I don't feel like it's an end-all, be-all running attack. They do have some hyper armor, so you might be able to time that a little well and be like, oh, you're a nice katana, and you could just do a running attack. You might be able to trade better, but I feel like the hitbox is a little wonky and inconsistent, at least with me. Like, that's not the running attack that killed that last person. I'll be honest, I probably would not have bet money on that one. I don't think that was going to hit him. I was going to try to set him up for something else, but he said, no, I'll just die, and it worked out for me. But these are the weapons that you play very defensively and say, okay, when can I take advantage of my hyper armor? That's the biggest thing when it comes to great swords, and this one is no different. No different at all. Space out your opponent, try to think about it, maybe have your shield to block, get ready. Oh, we got a buff. Crystal, I'm going to assume this guy doesn't have a lot of vigor. I'm going to assume that. So he's going to do this a lot, which is fine. Is what I'm going to attempt to do, because he really wants these staggers, is throw in an R2 and hopefully trade better. Maybe I won't. Oh, no, he's got the running attacks down. He's ready with that. Oh, but he's made a mistake. So we both hypered there because he had that going, but he used up too much of his stamina, so I just went ahead and running attacked. So there you go. So even though we both hypered through that, I feel like I came out on top due to the fact that I had the health to trade and he did not. So you just, right in his face, oh hey, take 500 damage right to your face. I had a feeling he didn't have a whole lot of vigor, so when you crystal buff a strength weapon that requires that much strength and that much dex and that much int to do that, I can't imagine he would have a whole lot of extra anything, including endurance, which I was counting a little heavy on that. You gotta start thinking about that when you're looking at people's different builds and the way that they buff and the way that they do things. You have to be aware and say, what does this person have? What does he not have? You know, as compared to me, what advantages can I take when I do these things? And I think with a weapon like a greatsword, you really have to be aware of that, because you're going to be playing so defensively and spacing out your opponents and trying to trade at the right times. In Dark Souls 2, trading was based off just attacking when they were attacking. And in this game, it's more based off predictionary, which is not a word. At least I don't think it's a word. It's based off predictions and saying, oh, you know, I have a feeling he's about to running attack. If he does running attack, he will run straight into my hyper armor, and I will go, oh, bam, you know, 2 hits right to your face. One-handed great swords, I'm not so good with them. I would think that having a shield out and being able to time that better would make it more effective. But to be honest with you, I feel like if you're going to rely on hyper armor and trades and other things like that with a great sword, you should do the most damage possible. And I feel like if you don't, you're kind of cheating yourself out of winning trades, because there are weapons in the game, you know, fast weapons in the game that do a lot of damage, and you might not be coming off on top if you don't have a bunch of vigor or a bunch of health to back up what you're doing. So be aware of that. Be very aware of that. Okay, we have a great shield, which is a big problem, because great shields in this game are very powerful, and they're very OP, and they will just soak up all the damage, all the endurance, all that. They'll just soak it up. So he's using a dark sword with the great shield. We have to be a little cautious here. So what I'm going to try to do... Nah, he says, nah, I have a great shield. So we don't get the guard break there. I mean, like, that's a guard break with an ultra great sword, and it still didn't get him, which is sad, but the way it is. But we'll go ahead and trade there and say, no, you better think hard about what you're doing. He's going for something. I don't know what he's going for, but I'll go ahead and do that. So even with his great shield, he's having some trouble getting past the fact that I have hyper armor. And I'm having some trouble with the fact he has a dark sword. You got to be careful. These are exactly where we have problems here. This is exactly where you're going to have an issue with an ultra. Question is he going to fall for it again? I kind of walk up into his face. I kind of throw out attacks and say, I don't really know what I'm doing. I'm just attacking. So maybe we can get him to fall for the fact. Oh! Never mind. He thought he could trade with that, and that was a mistake. So I got lucky there. I would say I got a little lucky there, and pegged him when he thought he could trade. But I was throwing out random attacks and saying, "Oh, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just attacking," and then I was going to follow up with another attack to hopefully hyper through and continue trading. That's what I was trying to do. He wasn't immediately falling for it, unless maybe that's what he did on that running attack. Maybe he fell for it then, but We'll see in the future how people react to that kind of play. You have to kind of play a little dumb when it comes to strength weapons, and you have to say, okay, I look at me, look how bad I am. Look, please space me. Look how bad I am with this weapon. Space me out, please. And then when they come in for an attack to punish you, you just R1 again. And you hopefully hyper armor through it. That's what I would say. And then maybe you can take down builds like that. So that's really, I mean, all I really have to say about this weapon is exactly that. Like, this is all about spacing. This is all about timing attacks correctly so you can, you know, predict the way they're going to attack you, hyper through it, get a better trade, because there's so many good fast weapons in the game, and the way to counter them is to, you know, you have to think smart. So I would actually prefer, if somebody has like a straight sword, I would honestly prefer either have a katana or an ultra. I feel like that is good enough to do damage. I feel that way, at least. So I'll throw that attack out right there. Bam. So right there he thought, okay, you're doing a running attack. I can obviously attack you after that. Well, no, it's not safe because I still have, you know, stamina. And I will turn around. I will not be afraid of being hit. And then bam. It's a really, you know, kind of weird thing to get over. You know, a lot of Dark Souls 1 and a lot of Dark Souls 2, you know, being hit was never, ever, ever a good thing. And in this game, you need to shrug that fear off, because in order to punish somebody, you have to be a lot quicker. And that doesn't matter what weapon you're using, great swords or whatever. You have to be a lot quicker. You have to just not be afraid of getting a hit here and there. And especially with a great sword, where you're going to be forcing through hyper armor. So you have to shake off that fear and say, okay, I will take the hit. I will invest in this trade because I have the vigor for it, and I will do more damage than you. You have to understand that. And when you can shake that off, you can be a good greatsword user, I would say. That would be all I could really say about a weapon like this. Also, I'm sorry if I sound a little funny. I'm still sick. I recently just passed 13K subs on YouTube, and I thought to myself, shit, I've got to do something, even though I'm sick. So we're doing this. I know it's a little bit lackluster, but we're here. We're here trying. I'm trying my goddamnedest to put out content for you guys. And it's a little difficult when half the day I can't talk. I can't even smoke correctly, which is a big deal. I really want to be able to do that. And I just muted my mic to cough too, so that's the thing. I'll see how well I did that later. Alright, so against somebody who's using magic, I mean, like, really, magic is one of those things that it doesn't really matter what they're using or what you're using. You know, magic is not intimidating. It just isn't. It needs to be, but it's just not. Like, look at that. This poor dude. Like, he's trying. See, and how did he not even hit me? God, I'm so sorry. I don't even know what to gesture to that. I'm so sorry that people like that have to go through that trouble. I tried making a pyro build, I tried making a magic build, and I tried remaking Puff, the magic dragon, and it was so sad. I just couldn't hit anybody. It's not about damage. It's not about magic damage. It's about magic hitbox. I feel like in these games, a little side fact, since I've run out of things to say about the Profaned Greatsword, let me know what you guys think in the comments if you ever get to this part, which I doubt most people will watch for this long. I feel like magic is like ranged weapons in this game, where you can sidestep, you know, all of the fucking arrows in this game. You can sidestep all of the fire bombs and the throwing knives. The hitbox is so precise, and everybody, you know, when we first saw this, was like, oh, hitbox porn, it's so beautiful, it's so beautiful. But it feels like magic suffers the same way, and so people just sidestep everything. They just don't care, and you can roll so much, you'll never catch people. It's so sad. Like, magic works against randoms, but anybody who's like, who knows what they're fucking doing, like, go kill a streamer or a YouTuber with magic, like, you'll be the king of everything, because I can't do it. Even when I'm trying super hard, I can't do it. Now, halberds, I would say, are a big weakness to greatswords. They can space, and they have hyper armor, and they have more range than you do, and that can lead you to a lot of problems. But I will trade better than him. See, look at that damage right there. He's going for the stun lock, so I'll just go for a backstab. Because he messed that up. He messed that up pretty bad. He got very panicky. But I would say halberds are probably the biggest weakness to a great sword like this, or an ultra great sword, I should say, because halberds are so very good at spacing you out, and they do a lot of damage when they actually do hit you. So they can stay safe, do a lot of damage right up to your face, and it can get pretty bad. So I would say be the most cautious against halberds, and that kind of goes for every weapon. Like, halberds are so good in this game for spacing out opponents, for trading. Some of them have hyper armor. It can really spook you, so be careful in that regard. And a lot of them have the stun lock combo, which hurts. It hits like a fucking truck. He fucked it up, and it still did a lot of damage to me. So remember that. Remember that. Luth 94. That's the name. The Luth. Luth. Can you tell my tongue is forked? Luth. Luth. That's a weird name. That's what this video has turned into. I've run out of things to say, so I'm not making fun. I'm just reacting to someone's name. Everybody using the Shield of Want. I think that's interesting. That people have really picked up these sword art shields. I was thinking of the name. I was having some issues. I'm on drugs. I apologize. All right, he switched over to a spear. I'm gonna look at him. We're gonna have a little staring contest for just a second. Oh, no, nothing's gonna happen. He's thinking about it. He's weighing his options. That's okay. I throw out these little attacks, and I make him think he's got openings, but he doesn't actually have openings, because I'm gonna trade better. In any point, I'm gonna trade better. Oh, no. I'd love him to spam that against me. But he's not doing it. He's not doing it. Come on. Come on. Yeah, there we go. He's starting to get bold, which is good. Ooh, that could have been a mistake on his part. So we're checking each other out. This is very passive. He's got the first hit. Uh-oh. He's in the corner now. He's running away because he doesn't have the stamina. Oh, he switched to a rapier, which is actually preferable. I'd rather him have the rapier. I'd much rather him have the rapier. Now I could have just killed him there, but I got really greedy and just R1 twice. Oh, yeah, see, this is why I'd rather him have the rapier. Much rather him have the rapier. Because he's going to be more aggressive, which allows me to trade a little bit more. Yeah, he's made a terrible error. He's trying to poke through my slashes, and that's not a good idea. When using a rapier against a ultra weapon that has hyper armor like this one, it's just not going to turn out well for you if you don't space your attacks accordingly. He was trying to punish me through my attacks, halfway in between, but my attacks are a lot quicker in this game than people think, and so he's going to have a bad time when he realizes I'm just going to hyper through your little swishy pokey, and then you're going to go, ow, look at all this damage you just did to me. So there you go. That's basically a basic idea of weapons like this. This is a good weapon to use it as an example because it's a very good all-around greatsword, and it doesn't require a whole lot to use. I mean, it's 2210, which is pretty good, I would say, for a greatsword. And it does a lot of damage, and it really, really has a good moveset. I think it's my favorite moveset out of the Ultra Greats, other than maybe the Black Knight Greatsword, which is just kind of cool factor, but not very effective. But this one actually does super damage, has a good moveset, has cool buffs, looks nice, looks really nice. I know it's kind of, shitty because of my clipping right now, but I like the weapon. So you guys tell me what you think, and if you have any advice for how greatswords should be used, if you guys think that I'm totally wrong in every way, then you let me know. You tell me all about it, and I hope to see you guys next time. Thank you so much, and the Dropout Dragon is dropping out.